Alright, YouTube, it's time for another video. Driving around aimlessly, chilling, having a good time on this Saturday. I think, this is going to be a part of a sub-series on my channel. I don't get really many views and I don't have many subs, but this video is going to be the first. It's not going to be in an order or anything, but we'll call this video, what if social media never existed? And this is going to be called, and part one is going to be, I think I'm going to make part one revolve around, I think part one's going to just be called, like, weekends. I don't know, Saturday nights, something like that. And, this place is pretty active where I'm driving around right now. But it's a lot of old people from what I observe. Now, I haven't done any, like, direct homework on, any tallying or anything, but, I'm a firm believer that social media killed any momentum this country had. It created a small boom in the real late aughts as like a little frontier economically. But that has definitely been dead and buried now for, I would say, at least a decade. But yeah, what if social media never existed? When I say social media, I kind of mean like Facebook era onward. It does seem like, you know, Saturdays. I remember when I was younger, this was probably like mid 2000s when I was almost able, I was like, I got my driver's license in a little bit later than this, but I would get dropped off at this local, kind of like like a Dave and Buster's or around, these places that were, would have arcade games, restaurants. This place was a movie theater. It had go-karts. It had mini golf. It had uh, a, a fairly large arcade. And it also had things like, dude, what the hell's that noise in my car? God, that sounded weird. I'm sorry. It had, like, so mini golf, putt-putt, arcade, go-karts. It even had a comedy club. I don't know how many stand-up comics went there, but it even had a comedy club. And a movie theater. And this place on Fridays and Saturday nights was as booming as it would get. I mean, you would have so many people there, and they were usually a little bit older. Talking more like, so I was about like, in the mid 2000s, I would have been like, 15 or so, 16. And I would imagine that this place was even more lively in like the early 2000s or late 90s. And it mostly probably had people born maybe about 7, 8 years older than me. So when I was there, it was starting to be already on the decline. I would go there. This was like 2006 or so, '07. Still fairly lively on Friday and Saturday nights, but it was already starting to dip. But my older brother would sometimes go to this place, and like, I don't want to name names or anything, but basically, it was, it was very lively. It had a lot of people playing games and goofing off. You'd see couples there. I remember one time I was there watching somebody play House of the Dead 2, which was, like a little arcade shooter with like the, plastic guns. And there was like a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were probably, maybe, if I was like 16, they probably were about 23, maybe 22, 23. And they were there, and like the guy like ran out of quarters, and had to run back to the counter, and like he asked to like cut people in line and stuff, just so he's like, hey, my wife is trying to hold the fort down. We need to, can I please just cut and get more, and like to get more quarters or whatever. And you would see, and people were like watching this couple play. They were at the final boss. And I mean, not only were these arcades busy, you'd even have people watching them just for something to do. Everything now is just, it feels like that was like because there was no internet and there was no smartphone culture and there was no, there's that Voltaire quote, everybody's in the expectation of living. I think it's Voltaire. Everybody's in the expectation of living and no one's actually living. And now I think that rings really true with, especially with the advent of the internet. But you had moments where on Friday and Saturday nights these places were booming. They were, there was socializing, there was laughing. Yeah, there was the occasional fight or something in the parking lot or whatever, but that wasn't happening that often. And if you were with a group of friends, or if you're a pleasant enough person, you were never going to be involved in that shit anyway. So, but now, it's like I don't know really where those places are. And as somebody who's in his early 30s and is kind of the age where it's like I probably should be like married and having like maybe a 1, 2, 3-year-old kid by now. You don't really see that anywhere. I mean, I'm talking like I'm still in my like mid-20s. I'm not. And I think that's like, I think that just this, so there's such now about 15 years worth of stagnation that people are, it's almost like the age that you were when you first really started using the internet and social media. Man, that guy's irresponsibly just cutting through. The age that you were is almost like the age you still are. People are very stagnant with their with their lives. And I've even heard some people on Twitch streamers say things like, I feel like my life is, and these are people like, these are like, I mean, I think it was that it was like all those Twitch girls that are pretty hot or whatever, Valkyrie or whatever. And she was like saying how like she feels like she's still like 22 or something. And she's like, I think she's about my age or maybe a tad older, I don't remember, and it's just like she feels that way because she hasn't done, like, her life has been the exact same thing, even if she does make fucking a fortune. When your life is the same thing day in and day out, yeah, you're going to feel stagnant no matter where you come from, no matter how much wealth you have. You're going to feel that thing that, her life, her modern era of her life began when she blew up on stream, probably playing things, I don't know, I think it was like the mid-2010s she started to grow really popular. And it's like, yeah, I can see why she would feel stagnant, It's like, what left is her for, I mean, to be fair for her, though, it's like, what's there left for her to do? I mean, she's already, we're talking like mega Twitch streamers, like, what left do they have to do? Um, in a roundabout way, I actually kind of give a little bit of respect to people like Logan Paul, who at least tried to turn their life into, I mean, he went down the route of like celebrity boxing and shit, but I mean, hey, it's something new. It's not just doing prank call videos and stupid pranks online on YouTube. I'll give him a little. I mean, I don't really respect the guy that much, but I'll give him a little credit for at least like changing his ball game up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so this first part is basically just like Friday and Saturday nights. How much different do you think they would be if we didn't have social media? You know, the amount of people I know who are just so like afraid to go out into the world and just say, I need something new and I want to meet people and I want to be in a new group or meet a new group or start a new group of friends. Um, how many, um, how much longer are we going to wait for this shit? I mean, it's so funny. I remember it's like when I was in that, real late high school years, this was starting to change a little bit to kind of what we see now, late aughts. That was a very big pivot point. But I mean, it was more social, obviously, then, but the beginnings were starting. And I remember just like hearing stories about my older brother, who's about 7 years older than me. He would always tell me things like how, he would go out to that same place that I would go to play arcade games and stuff. And like there was just, there was so much more socializing, and that would have been, early 2000s. And, I guess the real question is how much better do you think things would have been better on, Friday and Saturday nights if we didn't have social media? I do think we would be. So I think things would be more interesting, more fun. I think places would feel more unique. I mean, I've been sometimes going on various small trips to various parts of the country and driving around and whatnot. It's like everything's the fucking same, you know. But I don't know. I really don't know. I hope I hope any listeners, the few I do have, I hope your Friday and Saturday nights are a little bit more social than mine. Um, but yeah, part one, your Friday and Saturday nights, would they be better in a pre-social media era? And do you think that isn't a factor at all? Just my thoughts and I'm out.